everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of The Wrestling Show. My name is Leintz.
Hey, I'm Merritt.
And we have a very special guest in studio, one of the Hall of Fame, one of my favorite tag teams of all time. We have Joe Laurinaitis, a.k.a. Road Warrior Animal. Thank you so much for coming into the Wrestling Show this morning.
Hey, man, guys. Thanks for having me on here. It's always great to be back in the great Northwest.
Yeah, you're kind of from this area, so you're used to the cold.
Yeah, man. I went to school right there, did spring football at Morehead State. So
hey, there you go.
Nikita Koloff and I were there together.
There you go.
Yeah. Shoto-ta, Nikita Koloff. Yeah, I speak Russian, too, bro.
Those are a couple guys I don't want to run into on the field, that's for sure.
Bro, it was good. I think Kevin Sorbo, who played Hercules, was there as well at the same time I was. He was a couple years older than I was, but it's always, listen, the Northwest has got a great community up here. It's a great family-oriented part of the Midwest. So it's always great to come back.
Absolutely.
Kind of ironic story, not to interrupt anything.
No, it's fine.
In the hotel there. And, I'm there with Steve Stasiak, who owns bookforwrestlers.com. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there, and I see this kid with a Wayzata hockey shirt come on, sweatshirt. Yeah. And I said, what are you, Pee-wees, Bantams? He goes, we're Bantams. I said, really? My son played Bantams. I said, because my son James actually got drafted by Pittsburgh Penguins in a supplemental draft in hockey. Wow. But decided he loved football and wanted to go play football. So he ended up playing pro ball. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, he played pro ball for the Rams. And I didn't even get the word Rams out of my mouth. And he says, Laurinaitis! I said, yeah. I guess he's got his own trophy case at Wayzata High School, which is kind of amazing because the school holds like 1,200 kids per grade level.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That's a big monstrous. School. It's bigger than Eden Prairie. It's just monstrous school. But it was kind of cool, after all these years of James being out, he's been out of there for 12 years now, and the kids still, still respect that fact that, what he's done for the school, and having a good reputation helps,
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to get us off onto a bad foot here.
You go.
Because I'm a University of Michigan fan, so I've seen you over the years in the stands and the Buckeyes whenever they take.
I thought I'd start sweating when I walk into this room, man.
I got my love on my sleeve. The state of Michigan's on my arm, and I've seen you over the years watching James in the stands for the Buckeyes and stuff like that. So it's almost as if like I've never lost track of you. You may have retired, you may have gotten out of the ring, but I still keep an eye on where Animal is. It seems based off of football. It's
kind of ironic thing. If the price is right, my old bud gets back in the ring. I actually did a cage match last year, which is kind of ironic.
Wow.
But I did not get busted up into the cage. I'll just tell you that right now. But Michigan, great football, great city. Great state. I mean, and right out there in Ann Arbor, what a classic stadium.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Man, I went into the big house there and I went, whoa, this is cool, because you go in kind of street level and you go down, and it's really cool. And going into the shoe too, they both hold about the same amount of people. It's over 110,000, right?
Yeah, they're both big places.
Yeah,
definitely.
And so it's really cool to see. And what a great rivalry, man. I think people don't understand the heart and soul that goes into that kind of football program, And, when, James, I don't want to rub it in, but he's got 4 pair of gold pants, by the way. For those out there listening, that means he beat Michigan 4 years in a row.
It's a nice little side trophy that you guys have
Sorry.
got.
Yeah, so, and I think that's like the only time they ever did that to Michigan was 4 times in a row like that, but it's still a great school, man. The rivalry today, it's been going on for years, back before Woody Hayes, through Woody Hayes, through the Trestles, through Urban Meyer, and now, with the great Michigan coaches, Bo Schembechler, and, there's been a lot of great football over the years. Right. It's a great tradition, man. And, James is winning the Buckeye Hall of Fame.
Yeah, cool.
In August, man. That's
awesome.
That's pretty cool, too. It's a great honor when you get, I think someday they're probably going to retire his jersey in that Ring of Honor there at Ohio State.
I wouldn't be surprised,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, not much unlike 9 years in a row for the Bison. How about that? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Who's ever done that in college football, winning championship 9 years in a row?
Yeah,
and that's great. I actually got recruited by North Dakota.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I went to Irondale High School in New Brighton, Minnesota, and they came and got recruited a little bit, and I kind of had let's just say a rambunctious senior year. Being an inner city kid from Philadelphia that got transplanted in Minnesota. And, and it was a great thing, and I ended up going to Golden Valley Junior College, where Nikita Koloff actually came and recruited me out of high school to come play there. And then after that, ended up at Moorhead State, where Nikita did very well here for Ross Forchie was the coach at the time. And I think it was NAIA then,
right.
NAIA All-American and tight end. So, he did well there too, man. So, yeah, man, it's always great to be back up here.
That's awesome. Now, we got a big event coming up this weekend. We also have Bob Footed Jr. in here in the studio. And tell us, we got Maui Madness happening tomorrow. That'd be Sunday. Tell us about how did you come up with the Maui Madness thing?
Just always loved March Madness, and then once I got older, Dad took me to Maui, and
there you go.
Then I was able to, as my business grew, take other people there and see the smiles on their faces and put the two together, and so then it became where basketball meets paradise. We started with one bracket, Maui Madness, so first place went to Maui, and at the time, second place was Twins tickets. Well,
there you go.
5 years later, now we're close to 17 different types of brackets where you could win. Well, actually, there's 2 trips to Maui.
Sure.
We made it fair for people. So if you get drawn or paired with a team that's like a 14, 15, or 16, they're probably not going very far.
Sure.
But if they lose to a team that makes the Final Four, you get the exact same prize as they do.
Oh, wow.
So it draws attention to the teams that people don't really hear about. It puts a lot of smiles on people's faces. Some of these people are going to places they never probably would have been able to do.
Sure.
Like WrestleMania or the men's Final Four. We even did women's Final Four last year.
Awesome.
It's a family event, and we've been bringing in different wrestlers, and we had a couple ex-Bison football players, Cole Jarrett, Christian Dudzik, Kyle Emanuel. We brought in Mariah Formica before she was actually on The Voice, and she had opened for Hailstorm and Joan Jett last year. Right. So we've been bringing in some quality talent, and it's getting some national recognition now.
Sure.
We just keep growing, and it's a fabulous event.
So being a wrestling fan myself, ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, how does wrestling fit in with Maui Madness, which is more of a basketball thing? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it because now I get to meet some of these people I grew up watching, which is awesome for me. But how did this come to be?
That's the very first question that I get asked. And first and foremost, basketball season, college basketball players are untouchable. The NBA is still playing.
Right.
Most of the retired ones that are any good are several $100,000.
Gotcha.
Or jerks.
Or jerks.
Or jerks.
Or some of them are actually working the tournament, attending the tournament. They're analysts. You need to bring in somebody that will be a draw. We're working towards a couple pretty big basketball names for next year through one of Joe's contacts.
Sure.
I can't name anybody at the moment, but yeah, the other thing is wrestlers, because they're on TV year round. Even if you're not a fan of wrestling, you've heard of wrestling.
Right.
These guys, besides being phenomenal athletes, they're people persons, signing autographs, meeting the fans. They love doing it. Animal's phenomenal. He'll do promos and all
the fact that he's doing our podcast,
yeah,
which is exciting.
We thought we'd reach out and hope for the best, and then all of a sudden, animals love to do it. Thanks, man. This is ridiculous.
Well, here's the good thing, man. And dealing with Bob here now, I've gotten to know Bob pretty well. His heart's huge, man. It's bigger than the state of North Dakota. Right? And so everybody at Maui Madness pretty much comes away a winner. You can't. I mean, how would you lose? I want to get the 14th seed and get the same prize as someone in the Final Four,
right?
I mean, no, seriously. I mean, who does that in a kind of bracket mode that he's doing, right? And one thing we were talking about. Listen, do not think that wrestlers don't sit in the locker room and do not watch the Final Four.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, we are big. There's such a huge crossover in amateur sports and pro sports in the wrestling locker room. You got a lot of guys like Undertaker, Big Show, Sid, all played college basketball, right? And we have a lot of guys who played football too, and pro football players. Bill Goldberg,
right. Brock tried it with
Layfield,
the
The
Vikings,
Rock, and that kind of stuff. Even myself, I got time by Dallas and Green Bay when I was done here at Moorhead. So I mean, there's a lot of guys crossover. So we really respect the amateur level, and we love it, man. I mean, listen, the heart and soul that goes into the amateur sports is second to none, and that's really big. So with that kind of crossover, I think sometimes the fans see wrestling is not just wrestling fans. Mm-hmm. Wrestling fans are a culmination of doctors, lawyers, businessmen, athletes, youth, college, pro, no matter what the sport is, golfers.
Right.
So it's our job to entertain those fans because wrestling of all the sports is a release. It's a release of what's going on. It's a release of your mundane, everything 9 to 5 deal, and it's a way for us to say, hey, man, escape your reality and go enjoy wrestling. And so the 2 and 2 go hand in hand, man. We love the amateur sports, and of course, evidently, by the way the wrestling business is going, people love pro wrestling too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
The way WrestleMania sells out all the time and 100,000 people.
Right.
Who does that? I don't know of any other sport that does that.
And and they're like second to the NFL in merchandise sales.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, nobody's going to top the NFL. I mean, the NBA does great too, but the NFL's top dog in that arena, and then wrestling's right up there.
Right.
So those are the top 3 in selling merchandise besides college football.
Right.
Definitely. So.
Well, going back to the Road Warriors, as I said, me and my wife were watching the old Road Warriors DVD WWE put out a few years ago. I know, but tell some of the people who might be younger or newer to the sport, how did you come up with the Road Warriors gimmick? And you can't really call it a gimmick because it really wasn't too far away from your personalities.
No, man, the Road Warrior thing was pretty much, Hawk being inner city kid, Minneapolis, and me being an inner city kid from Philadelphia. I mean, really from the first Rocky movie was filmed. That's right. I mean, that was my neighborhood.
Right.
Lived in row homes most of my life, and my dad worked for Honeywell. Got to Minnesota, and then was bouncing at a bar that Ed Sharkey was the bartender. Mm-hmm. Ed Sharkey trained Jesse the Body Ventura. Yeah. Ed Sharkey wrestled for the AWA. Had wrestled Vern Gagne. His wife Princess Littlefoot wrestled. Was a champion. Held the belt. Said, I'm going to do a wrestling camp. We all looked at each other and said, what are you talking about, wrestling? I don't know if I can do wrestling. I'm training for football at the time, Sure. I was training for a walk-on tryout with the New Jersey Generals of the USFL.
Oh, okay.
And he goes, well, try it. The pummeling and stuff will be good for you. Went and did it. Got asked to come down when Ole Anderson came into the bar one night, threw some guy out, landed on his shoes. Actually, I said, excuse me. I had no idea who Ole Anderson was.
Right.
I never watched WCW wrestling or Georgia Championship at the time, right?
Yep.
I didn't have cable.
Right.
So I couldn't. I watched the AWA, and that was pretty much it, right?
Like what was ever on the
and I was a big fan of Hulk Hogan. The Hulk Hogan came into our gym there, and it was on Highway 12 there, right outside of St. Louis Park, and I said, man, look at the size of this son of a gun, man. It's huge, right? So went through the wrestling camp, and then when Ole said, hey, I want to bring you guys down to Georgia, we went down there, and we were sitting in a hotel room in Hapeville, Georgia, right outside of the Atlanta airport. Mm-hmm. And it's Ole Anderson and a guy named Cowboy Bill Watts. Mm-hmm. Both great wrestlers, man. Good minds for the wrestling business. Both had great companies. He says, hey, we got this idea for you guys. We're going to call you guys the Road Warriors. Okay, cool. And I'm sitting there, and off the Mad Max movie, you just want to put a couple lines of paint on your face. Like, remember the heel in the Mad Max or the Road Warrior movie had the stripes, red mohawk, the feather earring, and all that.
Yep.
So that's the kind of look we were going for. And then my partner Hawk says, "Hey, what if Animal has a single mohawk and I have the double mohawk? So when we bend over, it looks like our heads plug into each other." I looked at him and I said, "Are you out of your flipping mind, man? Are you kidding me? Where'd you come up with that one? Thanks." Now here I am later, over 30 years later, with still the freaking mohawk.
Right.
So it worked. Good idea,
Apparently.
right? Yeah. Now you wish he was here. Tell him, great idea, brother. But and that's how the Road Warrior thing came to be.
Right. A couple of my favorite stories, I think. Either one or both of them came out of the AWA. You and Hawk were taking on Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher. Mm-hmm. and they were on top for, 30 years.
Yeah, shouldn't. They
And-
never went up. Oops, shoot.
No, you can say
You-
that.
you can say that.
You can
There's
say
no
that.
FCC
they
here.
never went off their feet for 30 years. What are you talking about, man? Yeah, they were really tough.
And then one of the first things you guys did, you get in the ring, you slam them or you press them over your head, and they're just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, knock 'em right
Nobody's
down,
ever done that to us
definitely.
before.
We were actually in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And, here we are, Hawk and I go to the ring, and, Black Sabbath Iron Man, we are Iron Man. And then all of a sudden, we hear the Beer Bill polka playing. I was like, what in the hell is this? I said, Hawk, do we just run in some corner tap room that's full of Polacks or something? Come on. And that's what we thought, right? And then here come Crusher and Bruiser, come down to the ring. They both got chairs around their neck, like Crusher always used to wear and stuff. They get in the ring, go through the referee checking you up, and then first move we did was a shot to the gut, press him over the head. Wow. And I get here, I had Bruiser and Hawk had Crusher, and then I think Hawk just slammed Crusher first, and then I press slammed Bruiser. I let them land on each other, and you hear Bruiser saying, "What are you guys doing to me?" and Hawk's over there going, "Anything we want," bam, and that was the honest to God truth. He said that, and that's the way it went.
So that wasn't pre-established that you were going to do that.
Oh no, bro!
You did
the
that.
funniest part about it, though, we come back to the locker room, and Bobby the Brain Heenan's in there, and Bobby Heenan's looking at Crusher, looking at Bruiser, giving them the eye, the evil eye, and looking them up and down like this, and all of a sudden Crusher goes, "What are you looking at, Heenan?" And he goes, "Just making sure you guys don't have any nosebleeds. You've never been up that high in your life." You had to hear Bobby Heenan deliver it, man. It was awesome, bro. It was awesome to do that. And Crusher, he, of course, trying to be the tough old guy, says, "Yeah, from that move, I have 3 crushed vertebrae." And he's walking around going like this, like he's normal. I say, "Come on, 3 crushed vertebrae, and you're freaking moving your neck around and everything." I said, "Bro, I know what a crushed vertebrae is. You ain't got a crushed vertebrae,
You'll be fine."
But it was pretty cool. It was funny.
One of the most memorable matches you've been involved in, Night of the Skywalkers. Starrcade, I believe, is 86. You against the Midnight Express. And not soon before that, Hawk sustained some sort of injury where he broke part of his leg. What happened there?
Yeah, we were on a tour for New Japan, and we had just come in. We were in Tokyo actually, and Hawk had taken a backdrop, and Hawk wasn't exactly the most nimble guy taking a backdrop because he never hardly took any. I think it's probably the third one he took in his career.
Sure.
And he flipped over, took a backdrop, and his I think his right leg got caught underneath him, and he snapped his tibia. Right above the ankle. He had a fracture, and so he went to the Japanese hospital. They put a cast on. And, 2 days later, we had Night of the Skywalkers, were a main event. I mean,
Right.
he goes, "I'll be all right." And he goes, "Animal, you took athletic injuries in college," which I did at Morehead State. I took my athletic injuries, I had a couple quarters of that, and, anatomy and kinesiology and stuff. So I said, okay. So I did the old basket weave around the ankle and put the heel lock on and taped that baby up like it was rock hard up to about the middle of his calf, which wasn't hard to do because Hawk had no calf. He was decaffeinated, bro. He was totally decaffeinated. That's what we call him.
Decaffeinated.
You're like a decaffeinated cup of coffee. You got nothing there. So, and so that's what we did. What I did, and man, as soon as, he was limping around the locker room, but as soon as it was time for our music to play out there, boom, all off his mind and up that scaffold he went, bam.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I did about 100 of those. They sucked.
Yeah,
No other way to describe it is they sucked. They were bad. They were hard. They were scary. I'm surprised nobody broke a leg, hip, neck on those things.
Well, except Jim Cornette, who blew out both his
Well,
knees.
Jim Cornette blew out both of these, but that's because Jimmy, and he'll tell you, he's a bliffit, man. He's 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound sack.
Right, exactly.
Jimmy was out of shape, no muscle continuity whatsoever in his body.
Sort of like me.
No, seriously. I mean, if you probably cut him open, it would just go be hollow, right? And Ellering chases Jimmy up, and when Jimmy backs up on the scaffold, who he bumps into? Me.
Right.
goes to crawl under, and people don't realize, they think I'm reaching for him, but I'm reaching holding his hands to make sure, because he's got no strength to hold his. He was probably about 220 at the time.
Sure.
He can't hold himself.
No, yeah.
And and then I'm looking down at the time, it was Big Bubba Rogers, who went on to be Big Boss Man. And let's just say he and Hawk used to like to go out before the show, and they said, get themselves right. And that's all I'll say about that.
Right.
All right.
They come back, and they were right, okay. They were also right, and then he had those black sunglasses on. So not only being right, your depth perception's off. Then you got glasses on, your depth perception's off. So I yelled down to the boss man. I said, hey, you ready? And, with his nice, deep, manly voice, he goes, yeah, I'm ready. So I let Cornette go, and there he is, like an outfielder getting ready to catch a fly ball, but Cornette lands like 4 feet in front of him.
Oh, no.
Totally misjudged it.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy hit and probably bounced 6 feet up in the air, starts screaming, my knees, my knees, my knees. Blew out both knees.
Oh, jeez.
Boss, or Bubba at the time, threw him over his shoulders and carried him like a baby all the way back to the locker room in the Omni. The Omni was no small building
No.
in Atlanta. Where the Atlanta Hawks play. So, yeah, man, that was Jimmy Cornette's last scaffold. I think last time he ever climbed up the scaffold, I'll tell you that for sure.
Well, I mean, I was watching some, the quote-unquote shoot interviews that are on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Cornette had nothing but nice things to say about you and Hawk. And
Cornette was great.
Yeah.
Because, when we had our matches with Jimmy, I would tell Jimmy, man, you load up that tennis racket, because he used that to get the heat spot, right? I said, you better freaking hit me.
he was saying that he probably blew out a tennis racket every 2 weeks on your back, man.
Yeah, he said, if you don't hit me hard, I said, because, I was 315, 320 at the time, solid muscle running around. I said, you better hit me. I said, it's got to pop, Jimmy. It's for these people to believe it, because I will be like I'm shot out of a cannon face down, and I was.
Right.
And then, you didn't even have to tell Midnight Express, whether it was Dennis and Bobby or Bobby and Stan, to get on you. They were on you like stink on poop, right? Bam, 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 bam. And it was believable.
Right.
Jimmy was that. Listen, Jimmy's one of the best managers in wrestling. He doesn't ever get enough of credit, period.
Yeah.
He's got one of the best interviews, one of the best voices. Totally hates the new product today, as you probably know if you listen to this podcast. I mean, because he's an old school guy. He's an old school guy, old school principles, because that always works. It's like anything in life, man. The old school way of thing has worked for a reason.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, Jimmy's awesome, man. He's a good human being.
He was telling the story about how when you guys were moving north, he said north when he was probably referencing coming to WWE, and how you guys were pretty much the unstoppable force down there in Crockett. And on your way out, you were like, we've got to do the job. You did the job for him. And he was like, that's obviously a sign of how great you guys are and how respectful you are of the business. And
it's part of the business. Listen, Hawk and I, where we got this reputation of, the Road Warriors don't want to do jobs. That was never the case.
Right.
If you look at our career, I mean, we did a bunch of jobs for Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2, and Tommy Wildfire Rich, and a bunch of guys. The only one that, because of the internet and everything, was the one where we kind of changed the finish with AWA with Vern.
Right.
But we didn't really change. We didn't kind of change it. We did change it. But that was the only time. I mean, and only because they wanted to do a real stupid finish.
Right.
And here we are, 2 street fighters, and we're going to be that stupid to get switched out, like we're going to be, oh geez, we're dumb. Let's get rolled up. And
right.
Never been rolled up in my career. Now you want to roll me up and
this one time,
St. Paul Civic Center, and it didn't make sense, So
Yeah, because you can't really fool a street smart group.
You're right, because you don't take your eyes off your opponent.
Right, exactly.
And that was our gimmick. I mean, were we snug in the very beginning? Absolutely, because Ole Anderson told us to be.
Right.
And he told the whole office and everybody in the company, these guys are going to be snug.
Right.
We need them to be snug because they have to be different. Mm-hmm. And not that we didn't know how to wrestle. We knew every wrestling move there was. Mm-hmm. I made a comment to someone the other day because I was commenting on Fastlane on my podcast, my Water Rush podcast. And he said, what do you think of the present state of wrestling? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I said Fastlane sucked. I said Fastlane sucked because if I see 6 more head scissors in a freaking match, I'm going to freaking lose my mind. If I see 6 more thrust kicks in the same match, I'm going to lose my mind by the same person.
Right.
If I see 6 more dive outside the ropes or through the ropes or over the top rope or do a flip off the top turnbuckle onto the floor, I'm going to freaking shoot myself. It is so repetitive. I literally made a comment. I said, does anybody teach anybody down at NXT any moves?
Right.
Besides those 3 things.
Right.
Because that's all anybody does. It's such a monkey see, monkey do that I would fire every agent in the company for not having any creativity. Because the beauty of this business has been built by different personalities. Why do you think Charlotte Flair's the way she is, that Becky Lynch's the way she is, and Ronda Rousey the way she is, or Nia Jax? They all have their own different. The girls have more different identities than the guys.
The women are definitely killing it right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, New Day's about the only ones that have different personality.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, and then they're screwing with Kofi right now.
Yeah, they're playing around with the
No,
New Day
play with it.
identity, yeah.
What Vince did with Stone Cold 15 years ago is not going to work with Kofi.
Well, he's doing it not only with Kofi, but that's also kind of what they're doing with Becky, too. It's
they're
doing the
it's
exact
not
same
gonna work.
storyline at the same
time.
time.
You can't go back to the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era was done, and it wasn't the most profitable money-making eras in our business. Because what you did is you alienated the young fan. When you alienate the young fan, you take the fan's parents with them.
Right.
That's true.
And you lose marketing dollars. Why do you think they went back to PG-13, or family entertainment? You have to go back to that. This business is a family business. You get the kids to watch. The kids want the parents to watch. The kids get the parents to pay for the tickets to go to the show. It's all a chain reaction, and you just can't keep not doing that, and so, but that's where that's what I thought of the Fastlane product, and that drives Jimmy Cornette crazy,
right?
Because there's no rhyme or reason for anybody to do anything. Oh, geez, this worked for guy A,
right?
Well, I'm guy B, and I'm going to do it, and guy C is going to do it after me in the same match. You're supposed to build your TV show and your shows. Okay, whatever Roman Reigns or the Shield's doing in the very last segment, nobody does it in the first 3 hours of the show.
Right.
You leave that for the guys at the end.
Right.
But now everybody thinks they're the main eventer, and they're not.
Right.
Because everybody, whether they want it or not, there are a few people that are the money-making force behind the company. It's always been like that. It's always going to be like that. It's never going to change.
Right. One thing I was telling Ben on one of our podcasts, Seth Rollins, he's a great wrestler. I'm not digging his character right now because they've totally changed them. And one thing I always respected about you and Hawk is no matter whether you were heels, you were faces, you were still the same guys.
Right.
You did not change a thing.
Well, you shouldn't.
Right.
The people like you if they like you. If they don't like you, they don't like you. And we've always had the greatest fans ever.
Right.
Hawk and I did, man. They stuck by us thick and thin. Even when Hawk was getting punished for failing, the substance tests and stuff, you get 3 months off. Fans still got behind us. They would punish us by beating us by the Godwins or beating us for somebody else or whoever, but we would cover it in the promos.
Right.
And all the fans know that nobody could really beat us. I mean,
right.
And we would cover it in our promos because we were smart enough to cover it.
Right.
Even when we went there, the biggest question I get is, well, how come you changed your name to the Legion of Doom? I said, let me tell you something. When we were with Paul Ellering, it was Paul Ellering Presents from the Legion of Doom, Animal and Hawk, the Road Warriors. So we were always the LOD. We got it from the Super Friends cartoon one day.
Right.
Walking out of a hotel room and the TV's on, and the guy goes, meanwhile, back at the Legion of Doom. And I look over and and there's freaking all the bad guys in the Super Friends cartoons were heels. Man, let's use that.
Yeah.
And we had guys try to join the LOD.
I was just going to say that.
Like Jake Roberts and like the Don Giardino spoiler. Someone online made a mistake in saying Bundy was a part of it. Bundy was never a member of the LOD. Just putting that straight out there. No, someone said that Bundy and Arn Anderson and Matt Bourne were. Well, no, they weren't.
Right.
Ellering was with Matt Bourne and Arn, but Matt Bourne got arrested for like a statutory rape or something, so they took the belts off of them. That's how Hawk and I got the break.
Right.
So they were already dissolved before we even got in the business.
Right.
Sure.
So how could they be a member of the LOD? They're not. There was no Legion of Doom.
Yeah, no such thing.
You
So
remember
can't
a
be in it.
fictitious thing that wasn't even real? Okay, good. So and then Bunny tried, and we fired him. We beat him up.
I
But he
remember
grabbed Paul, so he never got the chance. Then Spoiler retired, and Jake Roberts went to WWF. Then we said, we're the Three Musketeers, one for all, for one, just us three. We're the Legion of Doom from now on. But in our promos when we were WWF, we always said, hey, that's right, we're the Legion of Doom. I'm Road Warrior Animal, and that's Road Warrior Hawk. We covered it all the time because we owned both names. We owned the Legion of Doom name, and we owned the Road Warrior name.
Precious Paul Ellering, he was your longtime manager. How did that relationship come to be? Because I know he was a pretty good wrestler before he became your manager.
Oh yeah, Paul was phenomenal, man. I think Ole Anderson's vision was Paul being a Melrose, Minnesota guy. Mm-hmm. We're gonna put him with two other guys that learn how to train in Minnesota, and put him with us. And he was a great interview, and we had no interview experience at the time. And he says, Ole Anderson looked at us, says, "You two muscleheads, shut up, stand there and look big, and let Paul talk." And that's what we did for about the first 3 months. Mm-hmm. Then he let us start saying one or two words. Then he let us start saying a couple lines, to where we got into learning how to do interviews in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. At first, of course, they had to clean the camera lenses all the time because we were yelling so loud we were spitting all over everything. You just see spitballs flying everywhere, But that was our promo. We had to be aggressive.
Right.
I mean, because everything we said in those interviews was really stuff that we would say bouncing at a bar to someone or whatever. Hey, you sitting in the recliner, put down the potato chips, put down the beer, get your rear end in the gym, quit acting like a tough guy. Right. Get your butt in the gym and work out, man. And we would do stuff like that, but that's stuff that we would say to each other.
Oh yeah,
to our friends. So, and we had a crazy gym, man. You got a picture, from Ventura training there, Adrian Adonis to Dino Bravo would come in there with a crusher, and then Hulk Hogan and Beefcake came in before Beefcake was Beefcake. He was Dizzy Head Boulder, and then you had Wayne the Train Bloom, one of the Beverly Brothers, and Mike Enos, they were the Destruction Crew with the AWA, and then they went on to become the Beverly Brothers. From that you had you had Kurt Hennig, you had Barry Darsow with Smash and Demolition, you had Hawk, myself, Ravishing Rick Rude, John Nord the Berserker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think too many people realize.
Nikita Koloff. We all were at the same gym working out.
Man.
And 3/4 of those guys went to the same high school, Robbinsdale High School.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Scott Norton. Don't forget Scott Norton.
Yeah.
World Arm Wrestling champion too. Yeah. He and Hawk were best friends in high school. They knew each other real well. And I was 2-3 years younger than a lot of those guys. So I met those guys when ever they needed somebody to fill in bouncing down at the strip clubs downtown Minneapolis. They'd go, "Hey Joe, we need someone to fill in. Come bounce," and I would go bounce.
Yeah, it's amazing that people, it's hard to think like Minnesota, Minneapolis, that area is so influential in like early day, professional wrestling. From everyone, even Ric Flair spent some time, and Hogan, yourself. There's so many names that have come out of the upper Midwest that it's kind of crazy.
Well, it's nuts, man. For a while, a lot of the top wrestlers were coming out of Texas and Minnesota.
Yeah.
We're not even announcing the Minnesota guys, Brunzell and Gagne, and guys like that either. We're leaving those two out because Greg Gagne, his family, and Vern there's another Robbinsdale guy. Mm-hmm. Larry the X Hitting. A lot of lineage there, in our business. But a lot, but down in Texas, you had Brody and Hanson and the Funks,
right?
The
Von Erichs,
DiBiase's,
mm-hmm.
Everybody that was in the Texas area. And then I think you have a hardy area like the state of Texas, and then you have the hardy Midwesterners like Minnesota, North Dakota guys, right? Just raw strength, non-quitting attitudes, and that's just the way it made a difference in what we did in the wrestling ring. Sure. We nobody was a quitter. Nobody wanted to give up on anything, You failed at one thing, you went into another thing, Absolutely. And, in our gym, we were all power lifters, too. Most of us were power lifters, with the exception of a couple. Hawk wasn't a power lifter.
Right.
Yeah, he always said, "Hey, it's an upper body business. As long as there's long tights, I'm in business." That was Hawk's motto.
Man, you guys hit all three major tag team titles: NWA, AWA, and finally WWE. What was it like when you finally captured that WWE after capturing all the other big ones?
Well, before WWE, I got those with hide and rank. Mm-hmm. Of course, every time you say WWF Championship, they say WWE.
Right.
And when we won those, we did it at Madison Square Garden in a street fight against the Nasty Boys. And it wasn't the match per se. We always loved wrestling the Nasty Boys. They were great, good heels, always right there. Probably another underrated tag team in our business. They were main events in whatever company they wrestled in. They were main event guys, so they were good, Good friends of Brad Rangens, another Minnesota guy, right? So, the culmination of doing it, man, when you sit in Madison Square Garden, because that's where the match was, and you look at the stands, and you see Lou Ferrigno over here, and you see Regis Philbin over here, and all these other top football players, from Lawrence Taylor to whatever, after your show, and you're going, what the heck, am I really here, and then you win, and then it's like a literal 10-minute ovation.
Yeah.
Because all those diehard fans knew no other tag team has ever won the three.
Right.
They knew before we did. We didn't even realize it probably until 5-10 years later.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we had no idea.
Yeah. Right.
And our thought process is that, man, we're here. We made it to WWF. We finally was able to make that leap. Not that we weren't ready in the very beginning. We just didn't want to until timing. Timing is key in this business. Timing is everything. Some fans and something, and we're the only tag team to win the top major championships in Japan too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From All Japan, New Japan, World Japan, 0-1, Battle Arts to SWS.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your Wikipedia has you at like 17 tag team.
Yeah, the Wikipedia has 17. Some diehard fan out of Pennsylvania is like Mike Rose that I know. That I do this event, Rolling Thunder, every year. Steve Stasiak knows him. We're helping book his show for him. And somebody said it was 22.
Holy cow.
When you count the Mexican one I won with Kensuke and you count the ones we won in Australia and like Don Owens, Portland Championship Wrestling and all that. And some of them were like 22, but listen, it's the entertainment business. But it's always funny because I'm not going to name the tag team, but there's another tag team out there that always says, we're the best tag team. We won the WWE Championship 10 times. Oh, great. Good for you. But I got 22 different ones.
Right.
So it kind of is a trump card, when you get into it. It's semantics, you know what I mean? But it's, one thing in wrestling business that Hawk and I always agreed with, you are only as good as the guy you're in the ring with. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a good opponent, your match is not going to be squat.
Right.
Whether it was a Koloss, Midnight Express, we had probably our best matches with the Four Horsemen.
Oh, yeah.
They were freaking awesome. I mean, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson could make us look better than we even dreamed of looking.
Sure.
But our gimmick, getting back to the talking about all the flips and stuff that we saw on Fastlane, some smart-ass fan sends me, Animal, when you guys wrestled the Powers of Pain, it wasn't like you guys were doing flying head scissors and everything else. I said, my point exactly, you idiot.
Exactly.
I didn't have to.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I went through a wrestling camp. I did all those moves.
I know how to do them.
I know how to do them. If it ever calls that I need to do them,
right,
I'll do them. But I didn't have to.
Right.
Nor did I didn't want to do them because the guy in front of me was doing them and it looked good. And he got a little yay. So I'm going to be a mark for myself and say, I want to get the yay. It wasn't about that. It was about entertaining the fan.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? And that's what it's always been about, And I think that's when you get up here, man, in this part of the country, the fans really appreciate that hard work ethic and what you've put into your career. And that's why hopefully at Maui Madness on Sunday, we're going to, get a great turnout. I mean, the phone calls have been like crazy, off the hook. A lot of great promotion up here for this Sunday, and it should be a good time, man.
I'm excited.
He's really good at the promo. He turned it back to the event that he's here to actually talk.
This ain't my first go around here.
Yeah, but there's actually a few other things though that we'll he's here for more than one reason.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But
Let's tell us some about that.
Well, it kind of was a meeting that we have it turns out a mutual friend from Minneapolis, and I'm not going to name the product, but I just thought this was a perfect fit that we might, help them
Sure.
get a bigger boost than having Road Warrior Animal
Absolutely.
promote your product. And so we came up, and obviously we had never met. And I just kind of told them, I've been bringing guys up here, and I just said, I don't know if you want to hear them, but I got a few ideas on a few various things. And there's a couple of them he kind of said, whoa, that's pretty good. And then, I don't know, any Weird Al Yankovic fans out there.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of.
we actually both enjoy Weird Al.
I have his
Yeah.
box set. Yeah.
Well, okay, on my spare time,
Right.
I kind of, did one of the Hailstorm songs, and it's Halloween themed, my version. And Joe kind of goes, is there any way that how could you make this fit? And it took me about, what do you think, 10 minutes, and I had an idea for you, Joe?
Yeah. It was good. It was good too. Bob's he's really talented on some of these songs he writes, man. It's great. It's awesome. It's awesome. And, I think what Bob was alluding to before, everybody knows that I was involved with Zubaz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a pair.
And he's being respectful here, but we just revamped a lot of stuff with the company, right? So I 99% sure it's going to work out.
Sure.
But we're trying to do something here where we can bring those Zubaz here to North Dakota.
Oh.
Because I know that it's big and the Midwest loves those things. Right? So
Yeah,
we started them.
they're
here,
making a comeback, yeah.
huge comeback. So and we have the leggings now, and we got fanny packs coming out, and we got all different stuff. We do all the Super Bowl stuff. So, and we're trying to work it out. I had just got a message from one of my partners late last night that, hey man, we're revamping it. I'll give you a call and we'll fill you in on what's going on and everything else. But he goes, but we should be good. So that's going to be another partnership I think we're trying to get into, is having Zubaz part of this to really make an oomph, and because those would sell like hotcakes up there. They did before.
Yeah.
I mean, between Moorhead State, North Dakota State, University of North Dakota, Concordia, Moorhead.
Oh, yeah.
All the schools up here, man. It's an easy deal, man. Because if you look, even when you watch Ohio State, Michigan, then you'll see
Oh, yeah. You'll see
maize
'em
and
all over.
blue,
Yep.
and you see the red and white and silver with Ohio State, So it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool, and it's good. It's good for the fraternities, they all
yeah.
like to go dress together and everything else,
Absolutely.
and watch. And the great thing about Zubaz is you could wear them. You could wear them out. You could wear them to the gym. You could wear them freaking in your recliner watching the TV.
Exactly.
With that beer and that can of bag of chips, We've all done it, right? So it's good stuff.
So how'd you come up with the original concept of Zubaz?
I was at the original Gold's Gym in L.A. in Santa Monica, which good friend of mine at the time, Ed Connors, was the executive secretary for Gold's. And, every time we went out there, we would get a bag of Gold stuff, T-shirts, pants, everything. And there was a guy that used to bodybuild. His name was Mike Christian. And Mike Christian had this line of clothes called Everywhere.
Right.
And we looked at them, and I held them up, and they were real flimsy and loose, and they were all different kind of crazy colors and stuff. And I said, well, Hawk and I are, kind of freaking out there a little bit. He got we call them snot rags, but the bandanas tied covering our mohawks, tank tops,
Sure.
We always cut our own tank tops and, take a regular T-shirt and said, Hawk was an animal, give it the warrior cut, and I'd cut it, and he liked the real thin straps. And tried on those pants, and I said, boy, these are comfortable.
Yeah.
And I took them back to a couple of my top sales guys that were at my St. Paul gym. And I had a gym called Twin Cities Gym right outside of Rosedale Shopping Center. A lot of people confused it with the gym in Plymouth, but Hawk and I had two clubs at the time. And so I said, hey, man, to Bob Truax and Dan Stock, can we find anybody that can make these things?
Right.
And you can't copy things stitch for stitch. You have to have your own patented stitch. So we went and invented our own patented stitch. Got all our textile stuff. Met at a textile mill that I went and visited down in Hall River, North Carolina, which is in the middle of nowhere. Like, you can imagine Hall River.
Good place to keep a secret.
Yeah, Hall River. I thought He Hall was going to be there, but and great people, and as we've been getting the fabric for years, and got that patent stitch and got it going.
That's awesome.
And, of course, it's evolved now. And today we were getting stuff made in China. Then we went to Pakistan for a little bit. Didn't like the way the thing in Pakistan was working out. Mm-hmm. So I know they're back to China now, and because their pricing is so good, for textiles, and with everything that's going on within the governments, it's a good time to do deals like that because you can get stuff dirt cheap,
right?
So and so we're just revamping it, man. Get ready to rock and roll with it, and soon I think you're probably going to see a lot of Zubas up here in Fargo.
Like I said, I've noticed a comeback already, so I think people are
ready
for
man,
it.
It's good. Well, they have the NFL license, they have the NCAA license. Can't get the NBA, man. Nike's got that NBA locked up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But Major League Baseball and hockey, we got all those. So whenever they send me stuff, I'm always getting Minnesota Wild stuff and Minnesota Twins stuff. Sure. And
well, awesome. Well, Bob, let's sort of put a wraps on this. Give us the 411 about Maui Madness tomorrow. What's the times and websites, and if they have to get registered?
Yep, you must be pre-registered. The admission will be free, but then obviously meet and greet, photo, and autographs will be additional.
Sure.
Going to be a lot of door prizes. We're going to draw tickets for the top 3 brackets. This will be the trips for Hawaii, Vegas, WrestleMania, Final Four, and then also the Harley Davidson, which we're very thankful. They let us use their facility last year for the wrestling that we put on.
That's right.
Because Fargo's a very untapped market, and that's one of the other things Joe and I are going to be talking about is how to bring it back,
right?
Consistently, because it's been spotty around here, But we're going to visit a little bit today because of the overwhelming amount of attention we've been getting this week. Travis and I are going to, after we're done here, we're going to put together some videos to post online. So there's going to be a lot of very detailed information that we want to make it. It's a very simple concept. People are making it more complicated than it is.
Sure. You
just show up, you register online, have fun, have a couple drinks, meet the big man, get an autograph, might get some door prizes, and who knows if you get paired with one of the teams in the tournament, 3 more weeks of fun, and you might end up going to Hawaii.
That's awesome.
The very first year, the guy that won the trip to Hawaii, he goes, I didn't know anything about what you were doing. He goes, I just heard Ric Flair was in town. I went. And so you don't need to know nothing about basketball. You don't even have to like wrestling. There's no brackets to fill out of teams you've never even heard of.
Sure. Just come and have some fun.
Just come and have some fun. It's very, very simple, and it's very family friendly. Like I said, we have some things for kids with where they can win some pizza and pool parties, some donuts, and then also to get back in, like with Wish Fast, the superhero marathon.
Sure.
So trying to make it a very family friendly event, and then we've got some giveaways over here for the kids, and some of Joe's pictures that we got, some of the Final Four tickets that people they won last year, but they don't get released until around now.
Sure.
There's actually this year's WrestleMania tickets.
Oh, you better keep those under lock and key.
Yeah, and actually, we do have a scratch off online, and it's the animal scratch off, and it's going to run for one more day. But everybody that's even at least tried to play it, despite what it says on the website, we're going to put them all in the drawing because we're just in the testing phases, and some people weren't getting to play free 5 times a day. So I want to make it fair for everybody. Look, everybody, just make sure you try it at least once. You'll get your ticket.
That's awesome.
But we're going to have to visit a little bit to figure out. We might want to start pre-registering people a little bit earlier and try to get in a little bit earlier.
Sure.
Because if everybody waits till 1 o'clock, it's just going to push everything back.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So
what's cool about it is that so many kids in this area and big kids have bought my action figures over the year.
I haven't.
And the famous spike shoulder pads. Well, I got the spike shoulder pads with me.
Oh, awesome.
So anybody that comes out, whether you're a big kid or a little kid, you can put them on, take a photo. You feel like what it feels like to be a member of the LOD for 5 minutes, And it's a good thing, man. I mean, when are you going to be able to put those on and take a picture?
Right.
Hardly,
It's true.
Never, I bring them very rare to events, but I like to bring them at certain events. I like to give back to the fans. I let them put them on because Lord knows I wore them many times. I don't need to wear them again. But it's a good time, and I'll sign the pictures for anybody. I'll be all painted up tomorrow, be ready to rock and roll, and do the appearance, and we'll have a good time.
That's going to be fun. And speaking as one of the little doomers, you might call it, I thank you and Hawk upstairs for doing what you did, because you had such an impact on not only the wrestling business, but the fans who have followed you for all these years. And I just want to say thank you for all you've done.
Well, man, thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure to do a podcast with guys, and, hey, man. Been a rush.
There you go.
There you go.
Way to wrap it up.
That was awesome, definitely.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of The Wrestling Show. We'll be back again next week. Might have more guests. Who knows? Who knows? But we thank you guys for showing up, and we will see you at Maui Madness tomorrow, that being Sunday, starting at 1 o'clock, correct?
Doors are open at 1, but come on much earlier to start pre-registering. And I'm trying to figure out a way to do a fast pass, just let people get in and start. Maybe you can start a little bit earlier.
Well, I'll head over right after we get done here.
She's just going to sleep the night there.
Yeah, there you go. It's in a hotel. Why not?
There you go.
There you go. All right, guys. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.